Team, Luke at Crusader Machining. Welcome back for another episode. Before we get into it, I got a quick favor to ask you. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. About 95 or 98 or something like that percentage of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. Drop a comment down below. Let's get the conversation rolling. Now, let's hop right into it. Today, we're going to show how we went from this to this beautiful part here. No more pleasantries, no more yapping. Let's get to it. Just a little more yapping. I want to lay the scene. This part is 4.1 inch diameter, 9.5, 9.6 inches long, 4340, and I'm making this part complete in one operation. This is our part that is already completed in our main spindle. This is our part in our sub-spindle that is completed that I'm waiting to take out. We have a 1/2 inch 13 thread in here, 1 1/4 deep. And we have a milled slot along the outside. So now I know what you're wondering. Wow, that's sticking out a lot. In this case, we use what the industry refers to as a live center. I have my spotting drill here. Zoom in on that. 60 degrees included angle. So our spotting drill went in, put in our 60 degree before the tap and before the drill. And then we have our live center down here that comes in as a support. Let's talk more about that. Live centers. This is what our spotting drill would look like. Hopefully you can see that. It's a 60 degree included angle on the secondary angle here. The first part is just the pilot. We're worried about this angle. And this is an example of a live center. This is obviously not the one in the machine, but it's also a 60 degree. So when you're using a live center, this angle that you can see up at the top has to match the angle of the spot. Every one I've always done has been 60 degrees. If anyone out there has done one that's not 60 degrees, drop a comment. I'd really love to hear it, and I'm sure others would too. And the reason that we use that live center is for support. If you've ever done long shaft or long part turning on a manual lathe, it is very common. A spot and then a live center, so you have support at the chuck and support at the end of your workpiece for rigidity. Especially on a part like this, where I'm about 1.1 diameter, I'm sticking out 8 inches. That is a long overhang diameter to depth ratio. So I need to support it. That's what I use that center for. Let me show you what it looks like. Sticking out here with no center, what we do running very, very slow is I have my turning tool just face off the saw, which is about 0.020 inches to get rid of that saw cut. I think I'm taking 30. And then our 60 degree spot comes in and puts in that spot to prepare for the live center. I'm not going to run that dry to show, but look at how well that bar is running out. I cut these jaws to fit the size. Our stock is like, this is a bizarre size. It's like 4.080, something like that. So I size these and cut them, put a little taper on my cut there. My jaws are holding on approximately 1.350. But before I put in my center, that's what it looks like. So this is what we're looking at after we're roughing with our live center engaged. And I know a lot of people are wondering, why is that so small? Well, we had to grind it for another job, and it's what we had, and it works. And this is after all my rough turning. And what's beautiful about this job, a little side note, these chips. Beautiful. Just ripping them off. And we're going to talk about speeds and feeds in a minute in my insert choice. But it's the live center, and I do have pressure on here the way that I set it. And so with a live center, if you don't know, as my spindle moves, my live center moves along with it, as opposed to a dead center, which should be more prone to use on in manual, conventional machining. But anyhow, this does have pressure in here about 5 to 6 thousandths, 0.005 to 0.006. It is spring loaded. Here's my pressure monitor, my Z2, which is my lower turret, I'm at 38 to 40%. Now, if I were to back that live center out 1,000th, which I did, that drops down dramatically. If I back it out 4 or 5, my pressure there on Z2 is at 0. So that's how I know that it's actually holding. In addition to the fact that when I run my finished turn, I got about a 1 thou taper from here to here and here to here. So I'd say about 2 thou taper over. And you're saying, well, why do you say from here to here, here to here? Because I gave 2 different offsets to my finished tool. Finished tool, WNMG 431 PP. I have a tight tolerance finish here and a tight tolerance finish there. Because it's so long, I didn't think that I'd be able to hold from here down to there consistently. So I gave it 2 different offsets. T0202, T0232. So that way I can offset them differently in my offsets if I have to. Talk about the tooling that I selected to run this job. Now, the majority of the cycle time is that rough turning. I'm about 9 minutes taking it down from about 4.1 down to 1.499 on the largest diameter, 1.180 on the smaller diameter. A lot of material to remove. I have my support, so with my proper support, I'm able to run that almost the same as if I had no overhang. Now, still not going to machine very aggressive with my speeds and feeds. I do not want to take a chance of ripping that part out of the chuck. I have pulled a part out of the chuck, but anything that big. So I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with my speeds and feeds. I'm running a 100 thousandths depth of cut, 0.100 per side. My surface footage is at 650 SFM. And anybody out there that runs 4340, 4130, what do you rough at? What is your SFM and your feed rate when rough turning? My feed rate here is 0.015. I'm using a WNMG 432, which has a radius of 1/32 or about 0.031. Or in metric, I think it's 0.8 millimeters. With me running my feed rate at 0.015, I'm running half the size of that radius as my feed rate. So with my depth of cut of 0.1, I'm engaging my chip breaker times 3 times the depth of my chip breaker, but I'm also running my feed rate at half of the radius. And if you watch any of my past content, I follow a loose rule, 1/3, 2/3. 1/3 the nose radius minimum feed, which in this case will be 10, 2/3 the nose radius maximum feed, which would be about 0.020 or 20 thou per revolution. I'm at 15, right in the center. Now, as I run the job, I am going to kick that up a little bit. I'm going to be machining more aggressively. Once I know that my tool life is predictable, my setup is good, and I'm ready to move on. And I have a slot that I'm milling down the side of that larger diameter. I do keep my live center engaged even when I'm milling that slot, so I still have the support at the front of the part. I'm running my finished turn right now, then we're going to transfer, and I'll show you the sub side. Here's my part of my sub-spindle, post-transfer, but obviously pre-machining. I know what everyone's wondering, why the heck is that sticking out? Well, shucks, because I had to. On the part, or inside the spindle, there's an ejector, because normally we'll run that, it'll eject parts out into our parts catcher. I didn't want to take that out, so I tried grabbing it just up to where I had to almost bump the ejector inside there, and it works. I got about 1.5 I'm holding on to. My pressure's up pretty good, around 275 PSI, and I'm machining it very aggressively with no deflection or issue. So that actually worked out. I got pretty lucky. Now let's stop the yapping. Let's turn this down. So there we have it, team. That's how we made this part. For us, if you watch my content for any amount of time, you would know that parts like these are not what I make often. One of the first times in a long time that I've had to use a live center. So that was mainly what I wanted to go over, how to maintain rigidity on such a long, thin part. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said at the beginning, if you like the content and you've watched a few videos, consider subscribing to the channel. If there's anything that you want to add, if you worked with a live center before or have ran longer, thinner parts like this, drop a comment below. Let's get the conversation rolling. And if there's someone you think can get some value from anything that we went over today, share the video with them. Once again, this is Luke with Crusader Machining, signing out, and we'll see you next time.